your email, you didn't give much away, but actually the point you recognized is really probably the most important one, which is to see that our true nature is a what rather than a who.
I started to type it, and as I was typing about myself, it was just like, yeah, I was like, this doesn't make sense.
Mm, mm,
So yeah, it wasn't deliberately vague. It was, yeah, I was confused as I was typing it.
mm. You didn't really want to get too much into the story, probably.
Yeah,
Would
yeah.
you like to tell me a little bit about the story, though?
Yeah, it's always helpful, isn't it? Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
So about the story, yeah, so I did a degree in psychology,
Mm,
and then in the final year, you could choose some electives. And one of the electives that I chose was, I can't even remember the title of it, but it was more or less, Who Am I? Um,
oh, yeah.
and the lecturer was talking about like it was roles that you play, and
Mm,
there isn't really a you, it's a roles.
mm.
Imagine I was at the time, I was 21, and we're all going, that's
What?
just a load of rubbish. What are you
Yeah.
talking about? And none of us got it. We just did
Mm,
not understand at all. And bless him, he was brilliant. He was just sort of smiled at us and was like,
mm,
yeah, that's okay. And then when I came to do the exam in it in my finals, I remember the question title was, um, I know who I am, discuss.
mm.
And it was my very last exam of the whole degree. And it was like I wasn't writing it.
Wow.
I was like answering, and I was getting really into it. It was like, this is so exciting. What's going on? And I hadn't
Mhm.
understood anything. And it was almost like and it was my best mark of the whole day.
Wow.
I hadn't got a clue. And I swear to this day, it was not me writing it. Um,
So it's like channeling it in a way, or just it coming through you.
yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah.
Mm,
And then I completely just got on then with what I thought was normal life and
mm,
everything. Um, had my children in my early 30s and really, really struggled with anxiety,
mm.
massively,
Yes.
debilitatingly.
Mm,
And so went looking for something to relieve the symptoms of
mm,
it. And one of the things I came across on some sort of forum, there was a lady on there. She was a Hindu lady, and she was talking about Shaktipats.
mm,
And, knew nothing about that, but for some reason was quite drawn to it. And then she I sort of embarked on it. It wasn't even a course. She had a booklet, and she had pictures that she'd infused with I don't know what.
mm,
And so you had to um, look at these pictures for a minute or
mm,
whatever, but not too often.
mm,
Um, and I don't know what happened, but I became obsessed with finding the truth.
mm,
I don't know what the truth is.
mm,
I don't know what uh, but it was like I needed to know the truth, and I
mm.
don't know. I didn't come. So I stayed in touch with her for a bit, but she was a bit mean. So her way of teaching was to sort of try to break down, I presume, like the ego or your identity or whatever,
Mm.
by being quite brutal.
Yeah.
And for a while, my ego couldn't take it. I had to sort of, I don't know. I think I just sort of like was like, I can't cope with this anymore. This lashings. Um, but then that just led me onto lots of other sort of paths
Mm,
of, well, I suppose the traditional paths of seeking
mm,
and and never finding because I was stuck in seeking. So all sorts of different, um, yeah, teachers and So, you know, sort of Osho and Nisargadatta and Rupert Spira and Amy Johnson and all sorts. And then I came across your videos, maybe the beginning of the summer, and I was like,
Oh, yeah.
well,
Mm.
okay. So somebody said to me, because I was talking about seeking, and they were like, "You're in the wrong energy. You need to be in finding, or you
Mm.
have found, or something." So
Mm.
yeah,
Mm.
so yeah, yeah. I, I watched the last video that you did with Bridie, and
Yes.
that really resonated with me. That I thought, I think that's where I'm at too. Of I know that this isn't me. I
Mm.
do know, and I do know that,
Yes.
but I feel most of the time I operate as Vanessa. I'm from
Mm.
Vanessa.
Mm.
Um, yeah. So what Bridie said, I thought, yeah, I really resonate with that.
Mm. Well, that's good. Really, for you to notice that impersonal being is what you truly are, and then Vanessa is a mode of experience, but Vanessa is a character. It's just that in this world we're conditioned into playing that role, and it's delivered in a way where it seems as though there isn't an option but to be in the personal mode. But you do gradually see that it's possible to become free of that and live more from impersonal being, and and then your potential really comes through, and then you can utilize the personal mode in a more selective way. So you're not taking delivery of the content which is unpleasant. You maintain all of the nice parts, but you don't take delivery of the unpleasant parts. And that's energetically just much more economical, really. So let's have a look to see where you are. That's the main thing.
Ah.
Well, there's only one place you can be, really,
Yeah.
and that's in your true nature.
Mm.
So anything which appears to be other than that is really a mistaken identity, you could say,
Yeah.
because we always remain in our true nature. It's just that the personal mode is an option which we adopted without even realizing. Well, it's inflicted on us really from
Mm.
an early age, and we don't know what's being done. But it's actually quite easy when you realize the way it works. It's actually quite easy to be able to experience things in a much more conscious way, where we can experience the personal realm at will, and all of the nice parts, like with your family and things you really like about the personal experience. But then impersonal being is it's like a shock absorber in a way, because it prevents us from taking delivery of content which is disturbing, and um, and it's just seeing how those different options work, really.
Mm.
So how many of the conversations have you watched, would you say, Vanessa?
I've watched all the ones that are finding your true nature.
Great. Where they realize their true nature during the conversation. Yeah,
Yeah. And
that's
then so I watched those first,
good.
and then I've gone back and watched various sort of
Yeah,
different ones.
yes. Yeah. Well, it's good actually. That's really the best way to do it, because it's the ones where they realize their true nature which are of most value.
Mm.
The other ones, they can be inspiring, and we each resonate with different people, and so it's good just to see the ones which you can relate to. So do you feel you're clear on the distinction between impersonal being and the personal mode, would you say?
Yes. I, intellectually, yes.
Hmm.
But I don't often adopt that language.
Sure. Yes. But in this moment,
Yes.
You can experience as a field of awareness rather than as Vanessa.
Yes.
You say, great.
Mm-hmm.
So you could mention some of the forms appearing in this moment. So
Mm-hmm.
anything that there is awareness of, really. So awareness of the body sitting on the sofa, or awareness of any thoughts or emotions.
Okay. Yeah, so there's awareness of traffic noise outside.
Yeah.
There's awareness of my body sitting on this. No. There's
No,
awareness.
it's so easy to adopt the personal because we've been doing it all our lives. So it's understandable, really.
Yeah, so awareness of a body sat on a sofa. Awareness of a dog sleeping on the other sofa.
Oh, lovely.
Awareness of the darkness drawing in outside the window. Awareness of the leaves moving in the wind outside. Awareness of the light coming from the bulbs.
Great.
Okay.
Well, that's very clear. So the only way you can experience in the way you just described is from effortless being, which is neutral. And so the way you were describing it, and I could sense that there was that sense of effortlessness and also neutrality, really, in the way, because you weren't invited to step into the mental realm. It was just the simplest form of awareness, really, where there's just simple, effortless awareness of whatever the form is. And so that really is effortless impersonal being, which is your true nature, and it's always there. It's just that overlaid on that is the option for the personal mode.
Yeah.
And to step into the personal mode, we need to engage the mind. So you're familiar with the idea of the koshas, Vanessa?
Yes, from your videos.
Good.
I couldn't describe them to you, but I
No.
remember
Okay.
describing them to other people.
Yes, that's good. That's good. Well, really, it's the distinction between impersonal being and the personal mode, which allows you to see that realization is already fully present, because impersonal being is the body of wisdom. And so all the forms arise equally and effortlessly and impersonally and neutrally within effortless being. And then there's an option, if you wish to engage the personal mode, which we do with the use of language in many ways, because the way you noted the option to either use impersonal or personal language. So when we're using impersonal languages, it locks us into impersonal being. If we use personalized language, it activates the personal mode. But all along, really, you're resting as impersonal being. And the personal mode is just an option. It's like having a part in a play, and you're playing the role of Vanessa, and you can activate that role when you wish to and deliver the lines and play the different facets of the character, like the mum or the wife, or whatever the role is, really. So so you're clear on, so if we take the example maybe of the light, you know the distinction between impersonal awareness, which is just really the simplest form of awareness of the light. So it's just effortlessly noticing it without any kind of dialogue or commentary. And then there is the option, if you wish to describe it in some way. So impersonal being, you could say, is non-conceptual. Impersonal awareness is non-conceptual because it's just the simple seeing. But then we can step into the conceptual mode.
Yeah, okay.
Just, firstly, just noticing the light.
Okay.
And that because the noticing is effortless and non-conceptual. And then there's the option to switch attention into the mental body, which is the conceptual body, and you can just describe it in some way. So really just describing the quality of the light.
Okay. So yeah, so seeing the light shining through the light spotlights
Mm-hmm.
to, yeah, I can see my lights in the ceiling.
Yeah, that's fine. There is much you can say, is there really? No, that's good though. That while you were really clear on the distinctions, which is the main thing, because it's in that distinction that we can see that impersonal being is always there. It's what we always are. But then we can adopt the personal mode. And it's really that mode which we're encouraged to adopt at an early age, because when the body mind of Vanessa was born, there actually was simply effortless being, effortless awareness.
Mm.
And so that it was the simple observing. And you probably noticed with your own children at an early age, there's just this very simple and innocent awareness. And the conceptualization and the idea of becoming a person is something which is sort of built through language mainly. So, you know, when your parents, initially you were just this wide open space of beingness, which is actually never left. But there was the option being installed to be able to utilize the technology of the body mind, which they call Vanessa, and you learn to adopt that. So they were inviting you into that mode by calling you by name. They were saying, "Oh, this is our little girl Vanessa, and she's got dark hair and brown eyes." Or actually, I can't see the color of your eyes properly.
No, you're right, they are brown.
um, and and then gradually they're sort of building this character, and then we take it over in a way. We take the job over where we notice certain things we like and we dislike, and different abilities and strengths and weaknesses, those kind of things. So it builds the idea of this character, and then the world is sort of encouraging that, like the education system and the media and just the whole of the way the dualistic realm works. But it's a relief to know that you never became the limited being in reality. It's a mode. And once you've seen the simplicity of impersonal being, then you realize you're liberated, or actually it isn't even liberation, because you never really became Vanessa. You've always remained as this infinite open space of awareness and beingness. And then there is the option, when you wish to you know, to adopt the personal mode. But it isn't that the personal mode needs to be eradicated. It's really that the personal mode can be enriched by the knowing of your infinite nature, because when you know, well, actually you remain as the infinite being, and the personal mode it's more a mode of entertainment, really, when you understand how it works. And then you can experience that more selectively. So all the aspects which are favorable, you know, like love, compassion, forgiveness, care for others, those kind of things, then we maintain all of those qualities. But the ones which relate to the dualistic realm, which are energetically draining, we learn to be able to decline those. So with, when, for instance, when you had your family, there was probably some, even on a physiological level, it's quite depleting having children. So it sort of draws energy. So it seems to take you down into a lower level. And then the experiences and invitations are inviting you more into frequencies which aren't so enjoyable.
Mm. Do you know, my mind's just gone blank. I was going to ask you something.
It's okay.
um,
But it's to do with the personalization, which maintains the idea, because everything in the dualistic realm, so whether it's therapy or the mainstream health system, most of those structures are actually based on or supporting the idea of individuality. So it's the idea that you, Vanessa, have this problem which could be called depression or whatever they were calling it. But that in a way is inviting you to identify with individuality. But it's when we're identifying with individuality that our energy is susceptible to being affected by those conditions. Whereas if we view them from impersonal being, we're not making the energetic connection to them. So we can just watch them, really, more like, we can watch them independently. It's more like watching clouds going by, really, rather than identifying with them on a personal level.
mm. So a couple of months ago, I had an operation. I'm just sort of yeah. See, I'm saying it now, aren't I?
Well, it's fine because you're conscious of it, and it's the only way you can describe it on a personal level, really. So the thing to know is when we're operating from the personal mode, it's fine to use personal language, but it's really when you're on your own or when you're just viewing things and deciding how to experience them without energetically charging them, that you'll become more proficient in that way. So it's fine to to describe it personally,
Yeah.
and then just have but then it's knowing that the sort of emotional or mental aspects which normally accompany challenging experiences, that they actually become optional, because what you see is that everything in the dualistic realm is encouraging you to believe that you're primarily a physical being, when actually, in terms of realization, you see all along that you've remained as the infinite being, which is an infinite open space of awareness within which all forms arise, including the body mind, but including everything you see. It's like an infinite ocean within which everything's appearing. And in a way, it's a bit of a joke, really, the idea that you become this person and then the physical realm is the priority. But because the dualistic realm is an inversion, it's making it seem as though the least important aspect, which is the physical realm, is the most important.
Why is it an inversion?
Well, it's because in terms of the koshas, you could say the first two koshas, so the body of bliss and the body of wisdom, they're both in alignment with God or the infinite being. So your infinite potential is available within those two. But the remaining three, so the mental body, the etheric body, which is the emotional body, and the physical body, they form the sort of dualistic realm. And the nature of the dualistic realm is that it isn't actually in alignment with the infinite being, because it's a sort of half creation. It's based on intelligence, but without the component of love. Whereas the first two koshas, the body of bliss and the body of wisdom, they remain in alignment with the infinite being, which is a combination of infinite love with infinite intelligence. And so when you understand that distinction, you realize that the intelligence which is operating in the dualistic realm is it's actually designed to get us to invest our energy in it, which happens through identification with the personal mode. Because if you're resting as impersonal being, then there is simply awareness of whatever's going on in the mental, emotional, or physical realms. But if we adopt the personal mode, which we were conditioned to really from birth, it's the idea that you really are this vulnerable entity, you know, this human being existing in time and space, which is subject to all sorts of experiences, which, you know, some of them aren't particularly pleasant. But it's because the dualistic realm, because it isn't in alignment with the infinite being, it's a kind of energy system, and it's trying to get you to invest your energy in low frequency experiences, because anything which is encouraging us to do that is going to be taking our energy and creating more personalization.
I know this might be a stupid question, but so where does that dualistic realm come from? Or is that like saying, where does gravity come from, or what?
No, it's actually a very good question, and it needs to be answered. So it's a great question, really. So in Hinduism, they talk about the yugas. So they say there are these different ages, you know, the golden age, the silver age, the bronze age, and the iron age. And the current age is the iron age, which is called Kali Yuga. And so the way that emerges, according to Indian philosophy, is that there's a decline. So in Satyuga, which is the golden age, the creations would be a combination of infinite love with infinite intelligence. But then as they decline through Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga, the creation ends up really being just a creation which is based on intelligence, but without the component of love. And if you see the dualistic realm and you look at it objectively, you see the components. You know, the religions say, oh, it's a god of love which created the dualistic realm. But if you see the death, sickness, accidents, the suffering, and everything which goes on here, this predatory nature of it, you realize that it's a different construct. So Gnosticism is provides a good way of understanding it, because in Gnosticism, it's actually very similar to the Hindu version, which is that for a divine creation, it needs a combination of infinite love with infinite intelligence. But at a certain point, the principle of intelligence, which in Gnosticism is called Sophia. So Sophia is like the goddess of wisdom or intelligence. She wanted to create something of her own. This is the sort of mythology of Gnosticism. So she created the dualistic realms, and she appointed what in Gnosticism is called the demiurge. So the word demi means half, and urge means creator. So it's a kind of half creator which administers the dualistic realms. And because the dualistic realms aren't in alignment with God or the infinite being, they work in a sort of predatory way. So that's why there's the food chain currently in this creation, you know, where the humans eat the animals eat each other, the animals eat the plants, the birds eat the insects. So it has that predatory quality. And the reason for that is because the dualistic realm isn't being sustained by the infinite being or God. It's being sustained by the energy which people and entities and animals and whatever are actually investing in the dualistic realm, which is the low frequency experiences. So it's very similar to the film The Matrix in a way, the dualistic realm. But it's the relief is to know that actually you never entered into it. It's more like a computer game. It's like like a virtual reality. And so you remain as the infinite being. But the dualistic realm is trying to get you to believe that you really are Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
But Vanessa, existing in the sort of mental, emotional, and physical aspects, they're part of the sort of construct which is designed to get you to identify with the dualistic realm. So it's the dualistic realm is doing everything to try to make you believe you really are this lady called Vanessa. You exist in time and space. You're subject to gain and loss and, you know, all of the things in the dualistic realm, all of the polarities. But actually, you never became that. And so you could say, in a way, it's a challenge, because the challenge is for you to realize that you never entered the dualistic realm. You've remained in your infinite nature
Mm-hmm.
as the effortless, timeless being. And then you can actually begin to regulate the degree of investment in the dualistic realm. But if you watch the news, or if you listen to most religions or most spiritual teachings, they're maintaining the idea that you are really this person called Vanessa, and that you have to be good, or, you know, not be sinful, or do all these practices, and, you know, to try to, you know, to become free of the dualistic realm. But actually, it's much easier than that, because you've never been part of it. All of those things which are encouraging you in the seeking mode, everything which is to do with effort, striving, um, all of those components are actually part of the dualistic construct to keep you engaged.
So how I feel like my head's being stretched.
That's good.
And then it's like and everything's going bleh, which um so how do I see that dualistic realm for what it is?
Well, it's really
Or
it's really just observing it. And when you're observing it from the neutrality of impersonal being, you realize that you can actually decide on the degree to which you invest in it. But if you look at the dualistic realm objectively, what you see is that virtually everything within it is an invitation into some kind of mental or emotional turmoil.
Mm,
Because whether it's the physical body, which is designed to age, so if we just take the body mind, for instance, so the your true nature is unchanging. It's infinite. It's indestructible, and it's peaceful, and it's still. It's a field of infinite potential, where there's the potential for any kind of experience. But the dualistic realm um, gives you the option to have the experience of individuality. But the body mind is actually designed to make it appear as though there is such a thing as time, because it's the body mind is programmed to age, which the dualistic realm, that's an example of it being an inversion, because the dualistic realm is using the aging process, which is actually a program, like, because the body is, whether it's the body of a human, or the body of a dog, or the body of a cat, or a goldfish, or whatever the being is,
mm,
they're all programmed to age in different ways. You know, the lifespan is different for each of them, so they're like a program. And really, the purpose of those programs is to make it seem as though there really is such a thing as time, because you the the non-conceptual awareness, the beingness, which has been present all along, is unchanging. So when Vanessa was very young, looking in the mirror, there'd be the image of this little girl.
Mhm.
And then at various stages, it would appear as though Vanessa's getting older.
Mm.
But actually, you're remaining as the timeless, infinite being, which is just presence, awareness, and existence, looking at the forms, and the forms are changing. But the reason for the changing and the transformation in many ways is to invite you into the dualistic realm, so you become preoccupied with it.
Mm. Mm.
And it's making it seem as though the physical body is most important. Most people, when they're talking about their health, they're saying, oh yeah, I went to see the doctor today and he did this little scan for me, or whatever it was. But actually, the most important thing is to realign with effortless being, because when you do that, you see that the dualistic realm, which is the mental, emotional, and physical, is something which you can withdraw attention and energy from, really, so you don't take it so seriously.
So when you're feeling ill, how do you withdraw that, or are you
So there are,
observing it
yeah.
but
So
not identifying with it?
yes. Well,
It's
it
a
it,
concept, isn't it, that
it
that
works on different levels. So if we take, so there are certain things which just come along. So there could be something which happens where there's a physical imbalance, or something which needs to be rectified, which requires an operation, for instance. Now, that's something which just is in relation to the physiology. Now, it may have its source in other things, because a lot of the imbalances in the physiology are to do that. They initially have their source in the mental realm.
mm,
So they're either worrying, or they're, holding concepts of limitation, or sometimes things like anger or fear, they can have an impact. Um, so the mental realm activates the emotional realm, and then the emotional realm can impact on the physical realm. And so there are certain things, imbalances in the physiology, which really, when you revert to effortless being, the basis of those imbalances is resolved, because you're not maintaining personalization, and you're not activating the mind and the emotions which create the imbalance.
okay.
But sometimes, if there are things which just come along which you have to deal with, then um, from impersonal being, it's a much easier process, because there's a realism about it, which is, the body is temporary, and so you do everything you can to keep it well, keep it healthy, but it isn't your primary identity, because that you're the infinite timeless being. You're resting as the effortless impersonal being. And then you see that the personal mode is optional. So it's like a character, or even more like a vehicle, because the physical body is really just like a vehicle. It's like having a car. And if you have a car, sometimes you need to take it to the garage and have a few jobs done on it. And the physical body isn't much more than that, because the etheric body, the etheric realm is very similar. It's almost identical to the physical realm. So when the physical body dies, the etheric body is still present. And that's, people refer to ghosts,
Mhm.
that's really the etheric body. But, sometimes when the physical body dies suddenly, say in an accident, or, for some other reason, then the people don't even know they've died, because they're looking at the etheric realm, and the etheric realm relates, because the etheric realm is like the energy which fuels the physical realm. So the etheric realm is still complete, and then the physical realm can still be seen as well. there's the etheric body, which is virtually identical to the physical body. So quite often the physical body goes, but there's, you know, there's still the full awareness of everything that was previously there. So the mental realm still functions, the emotional realm still functions, and there's the etheric body, but just without the physical vehicle. So the physical body is just like a shell, really.
So is that how people experience or see ghosts?
Yes. Yeah.
Mm. So say it was a sudden death, then how does that etheric body stay indefinitely, or does it?
Well, there are a few options, really. So the sometimes if there's great attachment to the physical realm, then the etheric bodies hang around. Or sometimes if the death was sudden, then there can be identification, and those beings can hang around, especially in the current age in Kali Yuga. But generally, it's possible to move through the koshas, so you can move through the etheric realm into the mental realm, which is the astral realm, and then move in. So in the astral realm, it's a range, really. So there are light bodies, and then those light bodies, they can develop into orbs. So as you go through the different frequency layers, then probably on the highest level of the astral realm is it's like a light body, but it's almost just like an orb. So it contains infinite intelligence. And then it has the ability to manifest in any of the realms, really. But with effortless being is the causal realm. So that's like the switchboard where you can begin to bring consciousness into the nature of the experience you're having. So you would say the dualistic realm is like a theme park where there are these different rides. Like there's the physical ride in the physical realm, the etheric realm, the astral realm. And while there's a sense of existing as an individual, then there are limitations in terms of the options available in those realms. Because if you think, oh, I am the physical body, then it brings certain limitations. Because really everyone is the infinite being. And we're having this, it's like a challenge in the dualistic realm, which is that the dualistic realm is trying to convince you that you are the physical being. And if the dualistic realm can convince you to identify with the physical body and think that's who you are, because you're the infinite being, you're shining the light of your infinite potential through the limitation of the idea that you're existing just as this physical entity in time and space. And you have that full-on experience because you've kind of adopted and believed the things that are being put forward to try to get you to believe in them in the dualistic realm. So it can be an experience of limitation. But the more we become familiar with impersonal being is a field of infinite potential. So what becomes available then is, you could say the physical realm is like a little play in the physical realm, and then the etheric realm is like a play in the etheric realm, and the astral realm is also like a play with the elements of individuality. Like there's the individuality in the astral realm is much more subtle than it is in the physical realm. But um, when we become familiar with effortless being and see that it's always present, then that's like the switchboard, because you're remaining as the infinite being there. And so instead of feeling that you're subject to the limitations of the dualistic realm, you begin to realize that you're the director of your own experience, and that you're actually a field of infinite potential, and that any experience is available, really.
So when you say realm, what does that look like? Is it like films? Is it like?
Well, you could say it's different frequencies. So if you take, say, the physical realm up to the highest level of the astral realm. So in the physical realm, there are the physical bodies. Those physical bodies can be refined, so there can be more harmonious experiences like health in the physical realm. And then the etheric realm is an energetic realm. And so each of the koshas have these frequency layers which relate to the colors of the rainbow. So there are 7 frequency layers. So the bottom one in each is the red zone. So they go from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo to violet, which actually relate to the chakras. In so the chakras relate to the physical body, the energetic body, and the astral body. So the experiences available depend on each of those and where one's attention is. So if you take, for instance, the astral realm, so the emotional realm, you can see relates to so the lowest level of the etheric realm would be to do with emotions that are most dualistic, things like hatred and anger, and the most dualistic ones. Whereas as you move up the frequency levels of the etheric realm, the highest ones would be more towards unity. So they're things like love, compassion, unity, forgiveness, those kind of things. In the astral realm, the lowest is the most sort of dualistic concepts. So again, it's the ideas of being right and other people being wrong, the idea of hatred, all of those concepts. As you move up the scale, the different frequencies, you move up towards much more harmonious experiences. So the highest level of the astral realm is the violet realm, and that is where it's almost unity, not quite. So it's like a subtle form of duality. So it would be like an angelic realm, or a realm where it's very harmonious, very loving, but still an element of duality. So those different options are available.
So energetically,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing at the moment? Because it doesn't matter what you're saying to me. I can feel it. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Well,
It's not a complaint.
no, that's good. That's good. Well, really, what happens is normally when you have a conversation with somebody, it's in the subject or object mode. So it's the idea that you're Vanessa and I'm David, and we're having a conversation. We're talking about the lives and experiences of Vanessa and David. In this conversation, though, there is a unified field of consciousness, because as you become more and more familiar with impersonal being, you can actually function and speak from impersonal being, which activates the impersonal being level in the other person. So they become familiar with it and they know what it is. And so rather than it being an experience of duality, it's actually an experience of unity. So the forms are appearing. So you're resting as the infinite ocean or field of awareness within which all the forms appear. So the forms appear as waves. So instead of the idea that the one voice belongs to Vanessa and then the other one belongs to David, both of those frequencies are like waves which are arising on the infinite ocean of awareness, and they're actually experienced in unity. So because you're the impersonal being, there's the sound of Vanessa's voice,
Mhm.
And Vanessa's voice is known as a wave on that single ocean of awareness. And then when there's the sound of David's voice, there's the sound of the frequency arising on the same ocean of awareness. So instead of it being dualistic, it's unified. So all the forms are arising on the same infinite field or ocean of awareness. But because it's a unified field, then we're kind of tuned in to
Mm.
that, or we're fully aligned with that field of unity consciousness. And then it's something which becomes more and more familiar. And then you can begin to function from there. So even in the personal mode, you can speak from that level, you can experience on that level.
I feel like not even but that I'm behind, and this is happening
Great.
sort of.
Yeah.
It's like a dome, like a sphere, like it's
Fantastic.
uh, sort of the energy is going behind you and
Fantastic.
and it's
Yeah.
um I had an experience a few weeks ago where it was like thoughts, sounds, pictures, and whatever were just like blink, 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 dropping in.
Yes.
And there was like an awareness that actually I was drawing all those together and making them about me. And then I laughed. It was like, nothing to do with me. Because I,
Well, that really was unity consciousness,
yeah.
because what actually happened is the sense of individuality just dissolved, and then you were resting as effortless impersonal being, and then those forms begin to arise in unity. So they're arising within this single field, and they're noticed as arising within that single field. But it's just that when you say, "Oh, they're arising within me," it's
Mm,
because the sense of existence. So the sense of existence, which has made it seem as though there is a me,
yeah.
that sense of me really is the existence of the infinite being. So it's actually all arising within your infinite nature. It's just that because you've been told that that sense of existence is the existence of Vanessa,
Mm,
then it appeared as though those forms were arising within you personally, but actually they're arising within your infinite nature because you're actually just resting as the impersonal being.
yeah. Yeah. Which is probably that answers my next question of that stayed for quite a while for
Great.
it was sort of like in the evening, and then I woke up the next morning and it was still sort of there, and then it was gone, and I'm like, where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? No, you can't go. But as you say, it was because then I thought it was arising within me rather than it was arising,
Yes.
and then I put a me in it. Not I
Yes.
put a me in it. I
Yes.
you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's what you'll find is that experience is optional, because self-realization is simply seeing that you are this open space of awareness.
Mm,
And but that's the awareness you are has no content, but all forms arise within that equally and effortlessly. But then there can be the experience of unity, which is actually an experience, which is where you see all the forms arising and you recognize they're arising within you. So instead of it being the sense of you existing as Vanessa, and then you're aware of all these separate forms, you realize that that infinite open space, which is just there and it's known, is an option which is always there, because that's what you truly are, and that's what you always are. It's just that overlaid on that is the option to pretend that you are Vanessa and that you're having these experiences in the human realm. But that's just like a little show that you can experience that, you can enjoy it. In fact, what you find is that the experiences in the human realm become much more enriched, because you see, even with, say, your children, your husband, you're experiencing them within a field of unity rather than in the subject object mode. So it becomes a much deeper experience. And then you find that with everything, really, because you see everything's appearing within you ultimately. And but it's, you see that it's an option when you see that impersonal being is always there, which just the exercise we did initially, where you're just noticing the forms, and you can do it any time of the day or night. You can just stop and notice the forms. So there's awareness of the light, there's awareness of the sounds, the awareness of cars going by, maybe rain falling or the wind blowing, whatever those forms are, they're all arising. And there could be thought forms or emotional forms. They're all arising within this infinite ocean of awareness which you've always been. And then if your husband comes in and says, shall we have a cup of tea? Then you just adopt the personal mode. You just say, oh yeah, I'll just go and put the kettle on.
Yeah. The answer's always yes. Yeah.
It's great you're so clear, because
Am I?
yeah, you are. Well, what's really obvious is the experiences are just very easily available to you. It's only that little bit of fine tuning, because the John Wheeler uses three words to describe your true nature. So he says it's presence, awareness, and existence. So presence is simply this timeless moment. It's just realizing that actually we never leave this timeless moment. The time is a construct in the dualistic realm, which makes it appear as though time's going by when really there's no such thing. The awareness aspect is really easy as well, because awareness, you're told from the early days of life that Vanessa is aware, when actually it's the infinite effortless being which is aware. So the awareness is actually infinite awareness. You've just been kind of convinced to believe that it's personal, when actually it's infinite and universal. But the one which is it's the sort of key in a way to realizing that you've always remained in your infinite nature, and that's the sense of existence. Because in this moment there's a sense of existence which is really familiar. So if I say, oh, do you exist? That sense of existence is very tangible. It's just that sense of existence, you've been told that it's the existence of Vanessa. So we believe that very tangible and intimate sense of existence belongs to us on a personal level. But really, that sense of existence, which you've always known, is really the existence of your infinite nature, and it's fully known. So it's only that you've been kind of deceived into believing that you're existing as a human being, when really the sense of existence which you've always known, it was there when you were a few months old, when you were 5 years old, 10 years old. It's always been there, and it's been unchanging. That simple sense of existence is the existence of your infinite nature. But everyone you've ever met has told you that it's the existence of Vanessa.
Yeah. Before I came on, I had a load of questions. What I didn't realise was that my brain would just go, which is good, because
Well, it is, because it makes you realize that your true nature is effortless, and it doesn't require any concepts. It's just non-conceptual.
yeah,
You
that's
can,
the answer,
you can, sorry.
that's the answer, isn't it? I have no question. The answer is I can't even form questions now.
Well, the more rested you become in effortless being, it takes quite a bit. It's like starting a car on a cold morning. You don't really, it doesn't really want to start very much.
No, I feel like the energy or thought that's arising It's sort of got an essence of Vanessa and a sound that's coming out of Vanessa, but it's not Vanessa.
Mm.
It's in a
Yeah, it's your infinite potential shining through
yeah.
the mode, the personal mode,
Can you
which
see
animates the
my brain
person.
trying to find stuff? It's going. I'm trying not to find things
Mm.
because there's nothing to find, is there?
Well, there isn't, and what you'll notice is that the more familiar you become with impersonal being, you can actually move from the neutrality of effortless being in the direction of the body of bliss. So the way that happens is neutrality is the lowest level of effortless being. You can have experiences which are to do with, say, well, it can be intuition or it could be inspiration or creativity. Um, and then it can be things like compassion or love. And then you find that you move more towards euphoria. So you're moving in the direction of bliss
Hmm.
rather than in the conceptual realm. So if you experience things, so you can experience things you love on a personal level, but then they begin to be experienced in terms of your infinite nature. And then there's like a real sense of gratitude and appreciation that you can experience everything around you in its infinite nature rather than in its limited nature. So you see your husband, your children, your pets, your furniture, everything as the infinite being. And that creates yeah, a much deeper experience, really. You were just having a little look at your dog then, weren't you?
It's not look.
Oh, sweet.
She's easy. She's great.
Yeah.
um, will I ever be able to function again? I feel like my brain has just gone to blancmange.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. It's good just to really take things easily because the option that's available is for your impersonal nature to integrate within the human experience. And the way that tends to happen is, well, it happens effortlessly, really, because you'll just be guided to live more effortlessly. Even during the conversation, there's less incentive to activate the conceptual mode, and so you'll just your intuition will guide you really,
Hmm.
but it'll be on the basis of it being light and easy and enjoyable, but it'll still be effective. So whatever actions you need to perform, whether it's at work or at home or
Mhm.
whatever the experiences are, you'll find the ability to function from impersonal being finds its way into those modes of experience. But impersonal being really it's just like a non-reactive way of being because the dualistic mode isn't operating so much, so you find that it's much more harmonious, really. But you'll just find your way through that. But your intuition will guide you really effectively.
Hmm. So I'm safe driving.
Yes.
My brain's trying to search for something, and I don't know what it's trying to search for. I'm not often lost for words, so yeah. I don't know.
Well, that's good. It's good. The laughter's a good sign because that just shows that there's euphoria, it's arising. That's really good.
I don't know what, and this is a concept, isn't it? I don't know what I should be feeling, what I should be thinking, but
Yeah, well, the mind sometimes tries to
yeah.
deliver invitations to try to get you back into the conceptual realm where you're thinking and then you're contemplating and you're involved again in the mental realm. But the key thing is to realize that impersonal being can be established so that you can just rest, and the mental, emotional, and physical realms become optional, and then you can regulate the degree to which you invest in them. So there's the option from effortless being to either move more into unity consciousness and experience euphoria, unity, love, um, or there's the option to go into the conceptual realm. But the conceptual realm becomes much less appealing because it's just, do we do this or do we do that, or is this right or is this wrong? So there isn't much. It becomes quite bland, really, the dualistic realm. When the more you become aligned with your infinite nature, you realize the dualistic realm doesn't have so much appeal. It's still available. So as you need to do things, in terms of practical considerations, looking after your family, looking after your home, looking after your finances, all of those things are still available. But you're not in seeking mode in the dualistic realm. You're not, because what you've seen is that true satisfaction exists in your infinite nature, and there's the option to move more towards euphoria and bliss. Whereas the dualistic realm, it's it's less satisfying. There isn't really that much available which will captivate you.
It's not solid, is it?
No, it isn't. No.
I feel like I want to put my hands through something and go, that's
Yeah.
what I saw and it's not solid.
Mm.
How weird. Wow. Okay.
But just take it easy, and if things arise, like if questions arise, the best thing to do really is just to stop for a moment and just return to effortless impersonal being, rather than chasing any concepts.
Will this stay?
It
Or
will. Well, it actually, what you'll find is that because you know what it is and you know how to remain as impersonal being, it's an option which is always there. So it may be that you get involved, say your husband comes and sits down by you and you say, he says, oh, shall we watch a film on TV or something? You can be drawn a little bit more into the personal realm, but the more familiar you become with impersonal being, the more you'll choose to remain there, and then you can function from impersonal being, which is really just non-reactivity,
mm,
um, even in the personal realm or in the personal mode, and then you can fully enter into the personal mode as well, because things like your natural personality, you have a very light personality, and the aspects which have just always been there, they're fully available, and you realize you don't really need to regulate them. You can just, it's as though from your infinite nature, Vanessa's set free, really, just to be the character that she is.
mm. How do you take things seriously?
Well, it's a bit of a challenge sometimes because what you find is that, especially in the early days, because there's a sense of lightness and ease, and you realize that you're the infinite, impersonal, timeless, indestructible being, so is everyone and everything else.
Mm.
So there can quite often be a feeling of lightness and euphoria as you're just knowing that directly. So if somebody comes along and starts talking to you about their ailments or about their, problems or something, sometimes it's a bit difficult to stop smiling because you.
Well, just before we came, I was walking the dog and I bumped into one of my neighbours that's lived around the corner, and he was giving me a massive tale of woe. And I was, listening and stuff.
Yeah.
And now I'd be like stood there going, it's going to be really inappropriate, isn't it?
Well, you
Oh.
find it becomes easier in time because because it's kind of allowing everybody just to be where they are, because everyone's on a little ride really. Your neighbor is the infinite being having a little excursion into, preoccupation with woe or whatever it is. But
I suppose that's rising in the infinite, the whole thing. So it's not personal from him or me, is it? Because it's
no,
within that.
well, it's almost, lots of experiences are an opportunity to experience contrast. So,
Mm.
most people have had experiences in the higher realms, and then the option to experience in the dualistic realm becomes available. But it's really, Lester Levinson says it's a bit like having a needle and you stick it into your arm and you say, and then as you take it out, you say, oh, that feels good now, But it's like the pain of the dualistic realm gives the opportunity to experience what's always there, which is the peace and the effortlessness of your true nature. And it's a real relief to discover that it's like that when everything in this world is trying to convince us that the dualistic realm is real and all the pain is real, all the suffering's real, all the limitations are real.
Mm. So the angelic realms, is that a frequency, but then we put a concept on it?
Yeah, it is everything. It's really just seeing that because you're the infinite being is like a field of infinite potential. So you could say your true nature ultimately is attributeless being, which is just you could say it's awareness aware of itself. And so from there, because it has no attributes or qualities of its own, it's almost like a cinema screen on which anything can be projected. So your infinite nature is a field of infinite possibilities, and so you can have any experience really. And those possibilities become much more available as you realign with impersonal being, um, because the limitations which appear to be there are to do with identification with the more limited modes, like the physical, etheric, or astral realms. Um, but it's knowing, we talk about the angelic realm, but it's knowing that there's the option to experience the whole spectrum of experiences, from acute separation to infinite love and unity, and anything in between, really.
Okay.
But the benefit of realization, the benefit of the familiarity of functioning from impersonal being, which you can do really effectively, is that you realize that the limitations of the dualistic realm don't really apply, because you're remaining in your infinite nature all the time, and so you don't need to entertain the aspects of the dualistic realm which are unfavorable. It's like with, if you meet your neighbor and he's talking, about things in quite an intense way, you can be compassionate, you can be warm towards him, be loving, but you can remain neutral emotionally. So you don't buy in, you don't get drawn in. You're not reinforcing anything. You're just remaining neutral.
Yeah.
What you find though is that because there's clarity for you, because you know that you are ultimately the infinite impersonal being, you'll find that people will turn up, and then there'll be opportunities with certain people, not everyone, but with certain people, for you to be able to just direct them to their infinite nature, because you know what it is, and you'll be able to say, well, this is what it is. You can say, explain that it's effortless, it's impersonal, it's non-conceptual. And then you know what the personal realm is, which is conceptual, it's dualistic, it's limited.
Yeah. Now this is probably an invitation coming now. I'm frightened that I'm going to get sucked back in and forget all this.
Yeah, that's an invitation,
Yeah.
but it's you can just observe it.
I'm just laughing at it now, going, I see you, ha ha ha. Yeah. No.
Well, it is. It's just like that. It's like a little party. It's like an invitation to a party of limitation, but you don't need to go.
Yeah.
And also, you have the recording of this conversation, which you can have a reminder whenever you want to, and but it'll just become really clear to you, and you'll find that impersonal being begins to predominate, and then you can just regulate things on your own terms.
Because it's not what you're saying to me at all, is it?
No.
You could be reading a shopping list to me. What are you having for your tea, David?
Yes. I must try that sometime. See if the shopping list works.
Good experiment, that, wouldn't
It
it?
would, yeah.
You could talk any old shite, and
Yeah.
but you could talk any old shite. And, yeah.
It's great that you sent it energetically, though, because that just shows you have to be very clearly and firmly functioning from impersonal being to detect that.
It's all I can feel. It's just, I feel like I'm, don't know what that means.
Well, it means that you've always had that ability, actually. And even the things you were saying, like when you were doing the exams and it was flowing through you, it's because you've actually always had the capability of functioning from impersonal being. It's just that nobody told you that.
No, it's recently, I'm just getting a lot of channeled stuff coming through as well. So about this year's just been bonkers, but about April, I got attuned to Rahani Celestial Healing, which
Oh, yeah.
I knew nothing about, but it was,
Mhm.
you need to do this. And then I do not know what has happened. The
Mm.
whole world has just gone. So I was
Mm.
coming up with words I'd never heard of,
Right?
had to look them up.
Yes.
And it's like, where's that come from? But like universal stuff.
Yes.
galaxy stuff.
Yeah.
So one of the words that came up was Andromeda, and I was like, I,
Mm.
I don't even know what that is. What is that? I've heard of it, but I don't even know what it is.
Mm.
So I had to look it up, and then I
Yes.
was getting like Pleiades, and I'm like, what the
Yes.
what is that? What? So I had to Google that. If anybody looks at my Google search, they think I'm absolutely blinking bonkers. Or Doctor Who.
Well, it's really because everyone everyone is multidimensional.
Mm,
And so what's happening is you're accessing those more refined realms of experience. So as I was saying with the koshas, they're structured in those frequency layers. So to experience the things that you do, you're accessing the finer aspects of the relative. So so those experiences would exist, say, in the indigo, blue, and violet realms of the astral realm.
but I'm just thinking now, if I am the sovereign being, so
You're the totality, yeah,
why wouldn't I be able to? That isn't my,
exactly.
wouldn't I be able to?
Well,
Because
exactly.
yeah,
It's only because we, the infinite being, we've been told, oh, actually, you are just Vanessa living outside Manchester, and you know, you're limited in time and space. If someone tells you that and you believe it, because you're the infinite being, then that limitation is activated because you're the field of infinite possibilities, infinite potential. And if
yeah,
you adopt it, then that's the experience you have. But because you're entertaining much broader and wider possibilities, they're all coming in now because you're accepting that they're possible.
yeah. Because recently it's been somebody's mentioned. People need to stop mentioning things. Somebody mentioned light language, so it was
Oh,
like,
yes.
all right, what's that?
I
And then
bet you can speak that as well, can't you?
it came out with whatever. So when I was by myself because I was too embarrassed, I was like, and then this just came out, and it was like,
Wow.
what does that mean? And so it was coming out, and I didn't know what it meant. And then somebody said, well, just ask what it means. So this week I was like, well, what does it mean? And then it was coming out with a meaning. It was like, this is really freaky, but I like this.
That's great.
Yeah. What a fascinating everything. What a what what an amazing everything.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you realize that all the limitations, they only exist because you've consented to them on some level.
Yeah.
And then you can remove consent, and then it just opens up in the way that it is because you've let go of the limitations and the beliefs relating to individuality, time and space. And so yeah, it's all becoming available.
Yeah. Don't follow me around Tesco's because I'm going like R2D2 or something like that. I wonder what's going to happen next. Interesting.
Mm.
Yeah. It's And then you also realise as well what a load of claptrap a lot of spirituality is.
Well, it's good in a way you say that because what you do see is that lots of aspects of religion and spirituality are actually in service to the dualistic realm because
Concepts.
it's all upside down. It's saying you are, you know, this lady called Vanessa, and you have to do all these different practices and things to get back to your true nature. But actually, your true nature is fully present before you begin any of those. So it's a bit of a distraction, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Over COVID, we did quite a bit of a dalliance into Buddhism, and I thought I really enjoyed that. But even that is the wrong way up, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm.
there are aspects of Buddhism. Buddhism's one of the better ones, really, because you know there are aspects of unity and
Yeah.
you know things which are really inspiring, but there are also limitations. There are lots of conditions involved, and the idea that you have to, you know, achieve things in time.
Mm.
Sometimes it takes lifetimes to achieve things. but that's all in the play, really. It's but if we adopt those, then it can be, we can extend the experience. But if we realize that everything really only has the meaning you give to it, you can withdraw the investment in those, the more arduous aspects of spirituality.
Yeah.
You're just making it all up, really, for entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah. What great entertainment.